What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Breaking Bet here on this Wednesday, October 15th. We're back in action. It's JohnnyVTV, it's Brad Thomas, and we have a very special guest. Yeah. Penelope Cruz from 45 years ago is ready to go with us on this Wednesday evening. Yeah, you respond to the Penelope Cruz. Bradford, what's good other than daddy duty?
Dude, man, listen, you know what's good? This is my first negative week in college. I mean, in NFL. I'm ready to right the ship, right? Like, there were some bets that I was like not proud of, but then some bets that just felt really egregious, right? Like not hitting Rome Odunze touchdown was pretty stupid.
Earmuffs for the child. Earmuffs. Put earmuffs on. Put the earmuffs on.
She's out of here.
Where you going? Oh, where you going? That was bullshit. Rome Daddy, anytime tutty, which by the way sunk my Monday night parlay. I had a fat money line parleezy with tutty sprinkled in. Rome Daddy was one of them. They overturned it on a phantom illegal formation.
So BS.
The fix was in.
I just couldn't believe like how much I was like that game was just so gross. It killed my parlay. What else did I have that was gross? It's just like I felt like every bet I didn't lose that many bets. Like I'm gonna put it in perspective, but every time I would lose a bet, it'd be in like the nasty variety. And like Travis Hunter, I had his yards. Remember Travis Hunter yards, and he had like freaking 10 targets, but none of them were more than like 2 yards. Or Javonte Williams getting 20, or like Javonte Williams getting 20 carries and not going over his total. Like, it was
crazy,
bro. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting week. I was up on the week. I do apologize for everybody. I haven't been updating my stuff. I will be doing that before this week's kickoff. It's nothing other than just pure laziness. So I do apologize to you. But Brad, I got to say, man, you were doubting Seattle. You doubted Seattle and I didn't approve. You weren't on the Seahawks rebound train. It's very disappointing. JSN was free. That's my second favorite F word, free, and that's what JSN has been pretty much the whole year. I mean, listen, I say it every week because I love hearing it because I really believed it. JSN preseason leader to lead the league in catches was 20-1 on one of our preseason shows.
Yeah, you did say that.
It's looking good. It's looking good. It's far from over. But, man, I felt like JSN was going to take that leap. And we talked about this on Sunday. There's a difference between being a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 1. A wide receiver 1 on your own team doesn't necessarily translate to a wide receiver 1. But a wide receiver 1 is top 10 status where like, hey, yeah, he's a dog. This is an alpha right here. That's what JSN is turning into. And that's what I felt was going to be the case. But that is on Monday night, Brad. Before we get started here running through the games, as we do every week, let's take a look. What are you, Mr. BLT, Mr. Bradford, L. Thomas, expecting for week 7?
Dude, this is the first week where we have weather in the forecast, right? There's I think there's like 4 games with higher than 50% chance of rain. The Tennessee Titans game, the Dolphins game, Bears game. That's like 4 or 5 games right there with at least 50% chance of rain. And what's really funny is it's a lot of teams that have or should have good rushing attacks or rushing attacks that are better than pass attacks. Like the Cleveland Browns are playing in heavy rain and heavy wind against a really, really bad rush defense. The New Orleans Saints are going to want to run the ball. The Bears are going to I was doubting the Bears. Remember we talked about it? I was doubting their run game. Looked like they turned that around. They're still giving Swift the carries, right? It should be a really fun week to take running backs over. There's going to be a couple running backs that I think that eclipse the 100-yard mark.
Royal Mint spot did not disappoint for Chicago.
No, it didn't.
It did not disappoint. Royal Mint was an ATM.
You know what's crazy about that too is that line got all the way up to 6, bro. It started at 4, got up to 6. I was sitting there 6, and I'm like, man, I feel like I just have to take the other way. A 2-point move is massive.
Is Penelope Cruz still in the lurch there?
Yeah, dude, she's down here trying to. She wants
Bring
to
her
go
up. Bring her back. Penelope, come back, kid. What up, beast?
Look, Juliet, look here.
Yeah. How you doing? All right, let's kick it off here, Brad, with Thursday Night Football. It's AFC North. Back to business. Penelope, are you listening? No interrupting. That's rude. Pittsburgh Steelers laying 5.5 at the Cincinnati Bengals. Brad, what have been the trends that I've expressed these last couple weeks? What was I all over last week, especially? Prime time dogs.
Dude.
Barking up a storm. Now, not just prime time, but the overseas games. I don't know if you consider 9:30 in the morning prime time, but an isolated game here. Dude, these dogs have been cashing like crazy.
They have.
Last week alone, you had the Giants +7 at home, one outright, or 7.5, one outright. You had the Jets +7 in London on Sunday morning, cashed. You had the Lions. The Lions lost. They were a dog. That was only loser. You had Atlanta home dog against Buffalo, one outright. You had Chicago 5.5 at Washington, one outright. This has been a trend. I don't believe the Steelers are as good as what their record reflects. I don't know if I think the Bengals are as bad as what they reflected. Joe Flacco had a little bit of juice towards the end of the game, covered that 14.5, which, by the way, we said way too big. I think this is the Bengals spot at home.
Dude, the Bengals covered last week.
I know you like the Packers. I told you 14 is
No. I like the Packers to win. I was not taking that massive line.
Oh, you like the Packers to win at 14.5 at minus fucking 5,000 on the money line?
Hey, I could say a team's going to win if I'm not going to bet the money line of the spread. But it's just funny, right? Like, and what's crazy is the Packers had multiple chances to bury them, chances, and they didn't. And I think it got to the point of the game, like in midway through the third quarter, where the Packers were like, "We're good. We're going to win the game. No need to overextend. No need to do nothing crazy. Just run the ball." This game's really interesting because I still don't know what we're going to expect from the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They were about 15th or 14th in EPA on defense. After last week, it crept up a little bit. Success rate still in that like 18 to 19 range. Aaron Rodgers has looked better. They're still running a ton of 12 personnel, which, listen, there's a reason they're shopping for a wide receiver. If you're running a ton of 12 personnel and DK Metcalf is really your only vertical threat, that's why I wanted to go and look at personnel tendency and go to 12 personnel for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I wanted to see what their EPA out of it was, right? I want to see, like, were they good out of 12 personnel? No, they have one of the worst, because obviously it fluctuates between how much they're in 12 personnel. I'll give you the exact numbers. They're in 12 personnel 273 plays so far, and they're 22nd in EPA per play in 12 personnel. For a team that runs 12 personnel, I think a lot of that has to do with they're still searching for the run game. They had one good rushing game under Kenneth Gainwell. I just don't know if they'll be effective enough to cover the 4.5 away from home during prime time, where Flacco gets a second start with his team. He has weapons. I think that this is going to sound gross, but I think the Bengals cover. I don't know if it's going to be pretty. Might be a back door, but I think the Bengals cover in this one.
Yeah, I think this line's is come down a little bit. But
5.5, I think, or something like
that. I think it's 5.5 right now, but
okay.
I think Cincinnati is going to cover this one. It's not official. I don't like this game enough. Like I've said all season, just because an appetizer's out there doesn't mean you have to eat it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You don't have to bet every game.
Yep.
This is a Cincinnati spot. I think is fair. I think Jamar Chase's prop for 80 yards is well into the plus money. Which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed. You got shut down on. You got a pass broken up. I forget who it was against Green Bay that helped break up a pass on third down. It was like 4th and 5. Joe Flacco goes right to Chase and pretty much double coverage. But they taunted Jamar on third down, hit the gritty, and then immediately the next play he scores a touchdown on 4th and 5. And he's like, listen, remember who daddy is. Remember. I think Cincinnati here is definitely live.
Sick touchdown, by the way.
It was a nice play. I mean, look, they've got a low floor with their defense and the line and lack of Flacco mobility, but they have a ceiling that can score some points when things are at least decent in the trenches. And look, man, you got Jamar Chase, you got T, you got Chase Brown, you have weapons. I think Cincinnati at home, primetime, short week, after what honestly wasn't a terrible effort on the road in Lambeau for Flacco's first start. It wasn't abysmal.
Yeah.
It was serviceable. Now they come home, they play Steelers. AFC North rivalry. These games mean a little bit more. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I have not been impressed by anything we've seen from the Steelers. They're winning these winnable games, which, yes, good teams do that. But in terms of a litmus test, I haven't seen it. And I'm not saying Cincinnati's any sort of litmus test in their current condition, but it's not a layup. Cincinnati getting damn near 6 at home in a divisional game, short week. I would roll with the Bengals here.
Yeah, I just think, man, like it's a big number. Steelers don't do anything exceptional.
Exactly. Not absolutely.
That's easy as that for me, right?
Not a goddamn thing. Let's go to the London game. I think this is the last London game. I don't know if we have any more overseas games. I have to check the schedule. But if it is the last game overseas, thank the good Lord. I'm sick of this shit. I absolutely hate it. I think it's the worst thing in the world. I think it's awful. The Rams are laying 3 at the Jacksonville Jaguars, aka at London. It looks like Puka's probably going to be out. No telling how long. I believe the Rams have a bye next week. So chances are they'll probably hold him out and hope he gets good to go for the following week. I'm not 100% sure on that when I looked that up. But either way, I think it's probably a longer shot that Puka plays. If that's the case, man, I like Jacksonville to at least cover this number. Without Puka, the Rams didn't really play that well. They played, honestly, pretty poorly at Baltimore. Granted, Baltimore just got the doors blown off.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to seize the moment when Puka went out. And granted, you got to change your battle plans in the middle of a battle, but there really wasn't anything special. Devontae Adams didn't go off the way I thought he would. I think Jordan Whittington's going to have to take a step up this week, but really it was a lackluster performance on the offense. The Rams let Baltimore hang around in that game despite what the final score says. Kyron was pretty solid. Without Puka, I think it's going to be tough for the Rams to put up that effort and really thump Jacksonville, who's coming off a tight loss against Seattle. Travel spot, a little bit closer, I would believe, to Jacksonville. These London games, these overseas games have favored the underdogs as well. I don't see a huge advantage for the Rams. I feel like Jacksonville is going to probably squeak out at least a +3 cover in what I think is going to be a grimy, gross, mistake-ridden football game.
Yeah, this is going to be, dude, it's just been week in and week out. We've seen just lackluster performances from teams that are playing overseas. And and what's crazy is it's not predictable on which team it's going to be, right? Like we just had Jets, Broncos. Broncos had 9 sacks in that game.
Yeah.
They held Justin Fields to 10 completions in that game. But you would think they went out there and won by 24. They squeaked out a victory because themselves couldn't. And I think there was a lot of coaching in that game that was, let's just get the hell out of here, right? Yeah. Like the Broncos running the ball on 3rd down and 10, like they know their defense is shutting them down. They don't need or want or felt necessary to overextend. One player that I was interested in, a player prop, it's obviously not out yet because they're going to wait, but I kind of like Jordan Whittington to get involved in this game.
I do too. I like that. I think he's a good fantasy streamer this week.
Great stream this
if you're
week.
Desperate, you got some bad buys this week.
Yep.
You got some injuries. You need a flex. I think you could do worse than Whittington. I think this is a guy that's sneaky this week.
Puka went down, and Jordan Whittington, his snap share does fluctuate, but I'd say he's like a 55 to 60% guy. Played 92% of the snaps.
Yeah.
Saw 4 targets, and it could have been more if he hauled in those targets early because he saw early targets when he went down. And I don't think that we're going to see like, I don't know, Murphed or Atwell take up the 10 targets. Like it'll probably go 5 more go to Atwell and then 4 more go to Adams because I don't think Adams is not a 15 target guy. So there's a ton of targets that are still available for this team. Jordan Whittington, I just can't wait for his props to come out because I know it's going to be something like 23.5. And I'd say they're probably going to make it 25.5. And I think that'll be pretty fair for me to bet. Deal.
Yeah. So there's also a 3.5 out there. I believe ESPN might be having that right now. If my board is correct. I mean, Jacksonville 3.5 seems pretty solid for me. Also, one thing to consider, so I mentioned before, time difference is crazy for the Rams. West Coast time. West Coast time. I think London, we're on the East Coast. I think London's 5 hours ahead. I'm pretty sure it's 5 hours ahead. It might be 6, but I think it's 5. Sorry, I'm not a world traveling connoisseur yet. My passport's only been stamped in Mexico, Aruba, and the continental United States, as well as Puerto Rico, but that counts, and Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. But nevertheless, that's a tough time for turnaround, internal body clocks and whatnot. So it wouldn't shock me, especially if Puka doesn't play, that the Rams come out a little lethargic. Potential spot for Jacksonville first half. Interesting to say the least. That's something that we could look at throughout the week.
Let's be honest though and talk about this Jacksonville team. This is a Jaguars team that played against a depleted secondary and only had what I don't know 200. We'll call it 250 because they're between 225 and 270. So it's 250 passing yards while losing a game. Bad.
Hold on. Let's remember something. They got hosed on a Brian Thomas call touchdown.
They did. That is fair.
That was at least 40 yards.
That is fair.
Brian Thomas dropped what's probably a 15-yard gain.
That is fair.
Pivotal moment, 9.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when Jacksonville was right in that game. So that very well could have been pushing 3 bones for T-Law.
Yeah, I think he probably would have been like 280. But listen, they had won the time of possession battle, neutral on turnovers. Like, it was just so bad. Like, no. I don't want to say so bad because I'll say it's bad because I want to give the Seahawks credit, right? They were able to get to Mahomes. They're able to get to Trevor Lawrence and make life difficult, but still not a good performance, especially I would say from Liam Cohen as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. And this is what I've been saying every week with Jacksonville. That's why I went to Seattle. You know, despite being 4-1 and coming off a big win against Kansas City, I think a lot of people felt that Jacksonville was going to be ready to rebound. I didn't feel that they were going to keep that going. Not for nothing. They also got dry humped up and down the field all day by JSN. But let's keep it going here, Brad. Walk me through this Eagles-Vikings matchup. Eagles are laying 2.5 at Manning coming off a bye. Interestingly enough, not sure if it's going to be Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy. How does that impact your handicap of this contest?
Dude, right now the Eagles got some poisonous shit going on in their team, man. It's hard to watch, right? Like they started that game off pretty strong against the Giants, like, and then it just all fell down. It fell apart, man. They had 2 turnovers in that game. They were flustered on both sides of the ball. They couldn't stop the run. 172 rushing yards from the Giants.
Jordan Davis was a late scratch, though. Or I'm sorry, not Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter. But still, man, what Jalen Carter's probably worth 40 yards. That's still 130 rushing yards they gave up. And I don't think even if Jalen Carter plays, it was stopping New York. New York wanted that game. The Eagles okay, my problem with the Eagles is complacency is hard. Replication is hard. It's very hard to repeat success year in and year out. They got to the pinnacle of the sport by winning the Super Bowl. Even early in the season, they showed glimpses of being that Super Bowl team, but then they, can't be consistent throughout an entire game. It's half by half by half. That's not going to cut it. But they could be sleepwalking and could start to get better towards the back half of the season. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with them. I am going to try this one more time. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley's rushing total one more time because they are once again against a really poor run defense. And what's weird is everyone thinks Minnesota has this really good run defense, but it's a fallacy. It is not a good run defense. If my memory serves me correct, they're somewhere like giving up 600 or something rushing yards already, which is that doesn't sound like, but for a Minnesota team at this point in the season is massive. If I imagine they're probably got to be in like the bottom third of EPA per rush in rush success. D. It's got to be Saquon. I know the wide receivers want touches, but it's got to be Saquon.
All right, so let's look at Philly here real quick.
Hit me.
Week 1 against Dallas. I believe they were 8.5 point favorites. Is that right, or is that 6.5?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Regardless, it was somewhere between like 6.5 and 8.
Yeah.
I apologize, I can't remember off the top of my head. Dallas not only covers that spread, but that was a game they realistically could have won. CeeDee Lamb drops a big pass. Miles Sanders looked like he was stuck in second gear. Gets caught on the touchdown, what would have been a touchdown run, and then Dallas doesn't end up scoring, and that changed the whole dynamic of the game. Next week at Kansas City, well, KC was still struggling, trying to find what they've been known for. Squeak out a win at Arrowhead. Still always impressive to go in Arrowhead, but it wasn't convincing. The next week was the game against the Rams, where they won because of it's happened a lot this year, and it's bizarre, but I'm going to say fluky, but it's very low probability field goal block return for a touchdown, and they win. On the Rams probably should have won that game. Go to Tampa, face a depleted Tampa team with all these injuries. Let the Bucs storm back, and Baker Mayfield honestly made, I would say, his only one bad decision, truly bad decision, when Tampa was driving and he throws an ill-advised pick into the end zone.
Yep.
That he didn't have to throw. And they win that game. Lose the game to Denver, and then they get shellacked at the Giants last week. So I haven't really seen a convincing win from Philly. Not to say, 4-0 is 4-0, and they beat some really good teams. But I agree. We haven't seen that Philly team that's just the Super Bowl champion. That's not who we've seen. I completely understand. So I understand the point of, hey, where has that team been and why would we bet them? Minnesota coming off a bye. Typically, I typically like to lean with teams off a bye. But the problem is I don't know if it's McCarthy or it's Wentz.
Yeah.
I listen, as of right now, it's Wednesday. I will go Philly. I would make Philly but I want to wait a little bit more till we find out who the quarterback is so that I can do a little bit further evaluation. And listen, it's 2.5 right now. Maybe it gets to 3. So be it. But I'm not rushing in to bet the 2.5 until I know who the quarterback is because I don't feel that strongly right now that the Eagles are that much better than the Vikings, given the current state of affairs going on. Because like you said, there's some toxic shit going on in that locker room. That's to the point where rumors, A.J. Brown may or may not being shopped and explored to other teams. And in a healthy locker room, on a healthy team, that doesn't happen where your star wide receiver wants out, especially when your team's 4-0. They're 4-0 and he was still really expressing his disgruntledness. But I'd lean Philly as of this moment. Sunday morning when we go through our run through on the kickoff show, give my official pick. All right, let's pick it up here, Brad.
Yep.
Raiders at the Chiefs, 11.5. Is this too big of a number for KC?
It is a really massive number. I think that number indicates that the Chiefs are going to blow their doors out.
It was
Chiefs
12.5, by the way.
Yeah, it's 12.5 or
it was 12.5.
Yeah. Chiefs are finally starting to get some pressure on the quarterback, which I think is something they lacked. They were having to add a little bit more pressure. We know Spagnuolo blitzes a lot. I liked the Chiefs to win and cover, but I thought the better way was just to play at Raiders team total under. And that number now is 17.5.
I don't have anything official here. I think I'd probably go team total one way or the other instead of taking the spread.
Yeah.
I mean, because look, Kansas City's honestly played overall pretty solid. Granted, look, people might look at what happened on Sunday night against the Lions, where that's a game you really, really get up for. That's a potential Super Bowl preview. But let's be honest with ourselves. The Lions secondary was gone. Injuries. Terry and Arnold being out. There was a lot of injuries that were big for their defense. But also, the refs did what the NFL probably paid them to do and make sure Casey got the favorable calls. They throw a flag 5 minutes after. The Lions had an awesome opening drive in one of the most bizarre touchdowns I've ever seen in my life. Jared Goff basically catching a quick screen from David Montgomery. Scores a touchdown after a damn near, what was it, like 8.5 minute drive. And then 5 minutes later, they throw the flag and say, oh, it's an illegal motion or whatever it was. So that changed the whole trajectory of the game.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. We don't know what that looks like. That takes 4 points off the board. That gives momentum to Kansas City. Or no, it takes 4 points off the board. Gives momentum to Kansas City. So, look, I think the Chiefs played a good football game, but I'm not buying into it as hard as like, oh, yeah, they're back. Mahomes has played great this year. Mahomes has played great, for sure. Like, we're seeing vintage MVP caliber Mahomes this year. Nevertheless, 11.5 points. The Raiders either get blown out by them or they beat them outright, it seems like the last few years. But I think instead of touching the 11.5 at this moment, again, it's Wednesday, I'd probably be exploring a team total, whether that's over for Kansas City or under for Vegas.
I would imagine, so 17.5, I would imagine that number is going to come down to 17, 16.5 before we get to game time on Vegas's under. I don't have the trend tool open, but
Pete Carroll also came out and said he wants to see Ashton Genty getting 20 carries a game. But also, for being honest, Genty really hasn't been that good. He's been a volume hog. He's been basically what Kyron Williams has been for most of his career. So I don't really know. But then also, it's like, what does Brock Bowers look like? So I need a little bit more time on this game. I don't know if I'm going to even end up playing anything on this regardless, but definitely want to see a little bit more as the week goes on. It is another Royal Mint spot here, Brad. Chicago Bears laying 5.5 at home against New Orleans. The Bears were a very generous recipient of the Royal Mint, not only bringing home the cover for us, but the outright Monday Night Football win, despite the refs trying to give it to Washington. Kudos. Now New Orleans is getting the Royal Mint spot. Is this a letdown game for Chicago?
Kind of, but I just think that even with the Saints, there's really not much I'm willing to hang my hat on, right? Like, this is a Saints team, and we'll go even back to last year. We'll go to last 10, right? Saints 1-9 in their last 10 games. And I'm like, well, maybe they're covering a ton of spreads, 4-6 against the spread. Then you think about the spreads of the games they covered outside the wins, right? A 14-point spread, a 15-point spread, a 7.5-point spread. They didn't cover anything under a 6.5-point spread in that 10-game span unless they won the game. They won as a 14-point dog, and they won, in which I thought that game was BS. And then they won they covered as a 14-point dog in a game they lost. They won against the Giants, which I thought was BS because the Giants were whooping them and then turned the ball over 5 million times. I think Jackson Dart had two picks, 1 fumble. Cam Scatterbu had a fumble. That's a totally different game if those don't happen. And then we're just looking at a totally different scenario. But the Bears blew their load in that game, man. They put everything into beating the Commanders, getting their revenge.
Yeah. And that was a Monday night short week turnaround. I'll be honest, dude. This is a Royal Mint spot. Again, it's got to close at 5 or 5.5 for this to happen. If it does indeed, I will be betting New Orleans. So again, that's something that you have to be cognizant of and bet before the lines close on 1 o'clock on Sunday. Like, you can't bet it now because the line can move and then it's not a Royal Mint spot. But I'll be honest, New Orleans is not a good team. But the interesting thing is they're competitive. There's a difference between being a dog shit bad team and being a bad team that's got a lot of fight. New Orleans is playing with fight. They were hanging around against the Patriots last week. Patriots were throwing haymaker after haymaker. Kayshon Boutte was going deep. Pop Douglas.
Dang.
And New Orleans was still hanging in there. And granted, it was at home. But Chicago, to me, is not a good enough team where it's like, hey, they had a good win. They're going to come back, bounce back, and keep their eye on the ball and repeat that. They're a team that is prone to letdowns. They didn't play particularly well either against Washington. They had a lot of blown coverages. They had a lot of mental mistakes. Whether or not some of the flags were bullshit and Rome Daddy should have got in, which he should have, Caleb Williams wasn't that impressive. I mean, listen, DeAndre Swift had to make an unreal 4th and 5 catch and run to really turn that game in Chicago's favor and give them a legitimate chance to win. So I didn't see anything from the Bears where I'm like, yeah, look, man, it's really building for them. To me, the testament of a good team is not, hey, we're going to show up one week and then we're going to be flat the next. I don't know if Chicago's there yet.
No.
I think they're still in that phase of, hey, 1 week it's good, 1 week it's bad. If they come in and they do what they're supposed to and blow out New Orleans, then we're getting somewhere because you're supposed to do that. And just because you're supposed to do that doesn't mean you do. New Orleans, again, we see this every week about them. They have the guys individually, the individual talent to stay in a ball game. A Rashid Shaheed long shot tutty can do it. Chris Olave still a dog. You got Kamara, Kendre Miller, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson. You have a defense that, it's not that good, but you make a play here or there. You got to stop. You got to turn a takeaway. Those things add up over the course of a game. So if you can do that, you can remain in this game. I'm not going to go as far as to say I think New Orleans is going to go into Chicago and going to win. But staying inside the number here is definitely something possible. So early lean is New Orleans as long as it is a Royal Mint spot, which it currently is. But again, that's something that we'll confirm back on Sunday.
Yeah.
Miami at Cleveland. I don't really care about this game. This is bad versus bad. This is a complete pass, complete stay away. If you twisted my arm to take a pick, I might go Miami, maybe getting 2.5, but I want nothing to do with this game.
How did Dolphins not win that game? Right? Like, God, they are dysfunctional. I don't trust the Browns. I saw a good stat from Connor Allen. Dylan Gabriel, when not pressured, 4.92 yards per attempt, 63% completion rate. He's in the bottom 2 in the league for both metrics. But the numbers are so bad that even when comparing his non-pressure to other quarterbacks, it would rank 30th in yards per attempt and T9 in completion rate. I told you, remember, we talked about this. He doesn't throw the ball down the field, which in this NFL, you have to have the confidence to throw the ball down the field or be just an elite decision maker like a Tom Brady. And that's disrespectful of me. I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't throw the ball down the field. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people thought, right? That was the easy way out. Lean Miami, but their defense sucks. They've given up the most rushing yards in the NFL. First team to eclipse 1,000 rushing yards given up. Dead last in success. Dead last. And this is rush. Dead last in EPA. They're going against Quinshon Judkins and a motivated offensive line.
How many tutties for Quinshon this week?
But I feel like he rips off a buck and a buck and a tutty.
Buck and a honey piece. Ooh.
Man. Tutty and a honey.
I do love that. That'd probably be the only thing I'd look at here.
It's 85.5. His number hasn't been in the 80s all season. Now they play the worst defense, and they're like,
minus 125. 2 tutties, 5-1.
I'll do that. Yeah, that's much better.
Interesting. Carolina at the Jets. This Carolina Panthers team is intriguing to say the least. They are a favorite at the Jets, not by much. I mean, it is a bad game. There's just listen. I think Carolina played a good game. Dallas's defense is well documented to be a train wreck. Dallas's offense was able to push the ball downfield on them. I mean, this Carolina defense, the run defense seems like it's improved. Pass defense is still a funnel. The offense, I'm not buying. I mean, Rico Dowdle has been a dog these last couple of weeks. Chuba Hubbard should be back. Ted McMillan is a dog, no doubt. I don't trust Bryce Young, not for an instant. So I'm going to pass on this game. Maybe an under. I think an under is a possibility because I think the Jets defense is still pretty solid. And Carolina's defense is getting better, but Garrett Wilson now. Like, where's the vertical threats going to be? Where's the consistent pass catcher? I don't know. I think it's just going to be a lot of running for the Jets, and Carolina's run defense has improved. It's playing pretty well overall, all things considered. So if anything, maybe I lean under 42.5, but nothing here. I don't like this game. It's gross.
It's really sickening. I wanted to see how could the Panthers win at both levels. Win on both lines, offense and defense. And I don't know if they can, but they have a good shot. The problem with the Panthers, right? And it's vastly different than the Denver Broncos, where the Denver Broncos can beat you with pressure from the interior of their the interior of the defensive line and from the edge rushers, where the Panthers can only beat you from the interior of that defensive line. But with a team where they're going to run the ball and have no vertical threat, will they be able to buy enough time when it's in the obvious passing downs for Justin Fields, because the pressure is going to be in his face instantly and he won't be able to step up or climb into the pocket, which means they're going to have to move the pocket around, do things that I just don't think are smart long-term solutions. Also, let's not to mention, if there's a award for the most undisciplined team in the NFL, who's it go to? It goes to the Jets. Very undisciplined. I just don't think they're a well-coached team. Panthers, I'm not ready to say they're there, but damn, Rico Dowdle looked good. He's looked good now in back-to-back starts. Run the ball, Rico Dowdle, and then take what you got with Tet underneath, or if you want to target him in the red zone, that's how you win this game.
I do agree. New England -7 at Tennessee. The Titans fired Brian Callahan, their head coach. A little disappointed because while I didn't have a bet on it because I couldn't find a market down here in Florida that had it, I had Mike McDaniel, the first coach to be fired. He is not. Brian Callahan was actually my coach of the year ticket, so let's rip that up and toss that in the old Cole Stoker. Shambles here for Tennessee, not looking good. A little disappointed, I got to say. The Titans are going to be good. I thought they're a playoff team material. Cam Ward, offensive rookie of the year, all that good stuff. It's been a disaster. So I am disappointed to say that this is what it's come to. But it's interesting. Brad, do you know why?
Why?
This is a Mike Vrabel revenge game. He returns to Tennessee, the place he once called home, the place he once coached these Titans into the playoffs. Laying 7, a hot New England team. With the Titans in shambles right now, and I don't know what the weather situation is going to be like in Nashville this weekend, but there's so much influx and turmoil in the Titans locker room. I mean, look, maybe they sack up and get it together this week, but my money's saying no. I like the Patriots -7. I think that's an official play this week. The Patriots, I'm not going to say are for real. I think they have made a huge improvement from last year. They look really good, but they're starting to enter this part of their schedule where a lot of winnable games are coming to fruition. I like the Pats. I like the Pats laying 7 on the road.
Yeah, there was I was going to pull up a stat, and Obviously, there it is. Okay. There are not many quarterbacks playing better than Drake May right now. Drake May is fourth in EPA, pass EPA, which is freaking phenomenal. Oh no, I think he's like second he's second in pass EPA, fourth in total EPA, which that accounts for running, which it's really hard and really confusing to kind of explain how someone who's not ripping off a $150, how that impacts negatively or positively. But Drake May is starting to show glimpses of what he was like at North Carolina. When you're playing in the NFL and you're young, the game goes fast. Once it starts to slow down, that's when you really start to come into your own and you can see what you're made of. And I think that's happening for Drake May. This is also a guy whose weapons are limited, right? And he's still out there balling. It's a revenge spot. And I think the revenge spot actually trumps the new coach bounce. I think Brian Callahan was given a raw deal because this team was just not ready to compete at a high level. And you're doing this with a rookie quarterback. You're asking a lot of your coach. The next guy who come in will have a lot more success. I lean the Patriots here, but I think the Patriots are going to start getting to be overvalued because they're starting to put games together. And that's when you really want to be dangerous. It's better to be early on a team than it is to be late.
Yep. I agree. I think, New England's laying 7 this week at Tennessee. Then they come home next week. They play Cleveland. Probably going to be a sizable favorite in that one. Unless Cleveland has a good showing this week and there's a little bit of market overreaction to them. Imagine they're going to be pushing a key number of at least 6, maybe more against the Browns. Probably say more. Then they stay home. They play Atlanta. Then they go to Tampa. That's probably their next big test is going to Tampa in the second week of November. So they're going to be probably pretty decently priced favorites in a lot of these games moving forward. I mean, they don't really have that many tough games. There'll be a dog at Tampa Bay, most likely, barring something crazy. Jets at home at Bengals. With Joe Burrow out, it's a mess. Home to the Giants. I mean, that could be interesting if they keep finding their footing with Dart and Scatabo. Maybe they make a trade for somebody we don't know. New England could make a trade too. Then they get the revenge game or a rematch spot against the Bills. Then they finish with Baltimore at the Ravens, and then they go to at the Jets, and then finish up with Miami. So there's a good chance they're going to be a pretty decently priced favorite the rest of the way. I think I understand what you're saying, and I do agree. I think for this particular spot with the Patriot or the Tennessee Titans in such disarray, Mike Vrabel knows this organization very well as well. So I like New England here. I think this could be a big week for the Pats. All right, Indianapolis. Going back to Cali. A couple weeks ago, they went to the Rams. I liked Indy in that one. They should have won that game. I believe they covered. I think they covered that game. They're facing the Chargers team that's been sleepwalking these last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If they were playing anything other, if the Chargers were playing anything other than The Walking Dead in Miami last week, they lose that game.
Yep.
They lose that game to probably 85% of the NFL teams. They did not deserve to win that football game. They've not played sharp football. A lot of mistakes, mental mistakes on defense and offense, the injuries. Quentin Johnson should be back this week. That'll be big. But Indianapolis has proven their formula. They have an identity, and it travels. Jonathan Taylor has been a dog. Offensive Player of the Year frontrunner. Congratulations if you got him 40-1 preseason for Offensive Player of the Year, or even after a couple weeks when he was north of 20-1, or after week 3 when he was 15-1. Good for you. I liked it. Did I take it? No. Why? I don't know. I wanted to. But be that as it may, Daniel Jones is playing good football. The weapon, Tyler Warren's looked really good, making a rookie year plateau that's looked really strong. Their defense is doing well enough. Made some mistakes last week. They handled a Cardinals group last week. They didn't play their best football, but still found a way to pull that out. That's a good team. They're a very well-coached team with Shane Steichen.
Very well.
I think you have two teams trending in opposite directions, Brad. Indy going up, LA kind of fizzling out a little bit. I like the Colts to win outright in this one. And they're a dog. I think the Colts are going to get this one done, man. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win, obviously. but I just feel like Indy's more complete, and they've been playing better football for longer. The Chargers are in this weird state that seems like they can't get out of their own way, sort of chargering like the Chargers of yesteryear.
The Chargers, first, I like the Colts to win and cover 1.5. Chargers lost a lot. Running back in Hampton, Alt, other tackle down, Quentin Johnson banged up,
Khalil Mack.
I think if this team played anybody other than Miami, we're having a totally different conversation. This is a really, really good Indianapolis Colts team. I don't mind the travel, and I also don't mind it being in LA because that's not a scary home field. So I like the Colts here. This is a really efficient Colts team on both sides of the ball. Yep. They tackle well, don't allow big plays. And then offensively, while they're not super explosive compared to the other teams, they are very efficient and successful, which I think is going to go a long way in this game. I like the Colts. I still can't. I'm probably going to tease them if it stays at 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's big because that gets you to 7.5. That is a teaser spot if I've seen one. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been off the hook, dude. It's unbelievable. He looks like vintage JT. I think the new coaching and Daniel Jones, honestly, a lot of that has opened up the door for him. So it looks good. Giants at Broncos.
Yes.
7 points. Brad, I'll be honest, man. I got to take the Giants. I think 7 points is a lot here. I understand that Denver is a tough place to play. It's the biggest physical home field advantage in the NFL. But what I've seen from Denver, I don't think I'd be laying 7. I don't think they should be laying 7 against pretty much anybody. There's maybe 2 teams in the NFL right now that I would say Denver should be laying 7. That'd be New Orleans, and that'd be Miami. Maybe you throw Cincinnati in there as well, but with Joe Flacco, that argument could be made. But I don't think I'd be laying Denver against anybody else. I mean, they sleptwalked last week against the Jets, and granted, we talked about the travel spot, and they had a time difference that was worse than what the Jets had. But they haven't looked like the team that I thought would be coming in, the team that I thought could win the AFC West. I mean, they're hanging in there. They're winning games, but it doesn't look good. The Giants have this juice right now, and I don't think it's a letdown spot after last week. Mini bye. I think they found their formula, and it travels. Jackson Dart eventually is going to have to continue improving as a passer. I mean, he's looked good so far in the small sample size, but he's running a little bit too much, taking too many hits. Denver does have a ferocious defense. But I still think 7 points, even on the road, it's not enough for the Giants. Or it's too many, I should say.
This is going to be one where I think we disagree.
Really?
I think that, and this is, the pressure rate changes drastically from Jackson Dart to Russell Wilson, but I still think that this Denver Broncos team, who leads the NFL in sacks, 30 of them, is going to get to Jackson Dart, make his life difficult. Then the back end is going to make it even more difficult. We forgot that this Denver Broncos team has one of the highest yards per carry mark running the ball in the NFL against a really bad run defense. And this is playing Mile High, bunch of young cats traveling to Denver. I'd like the Denver to rebound, not in this really weird prime spot of in London. Now they're at home. I want to actually, I have this stat right here. I wanted to, because I know I wanted to say this. I wanted to say it. I don't freaking have it. God dang it. I wanted to see what their against the spread was at home, but I freaking don't have it. I only have this season, but at home they're 2-0 against the spread, which is too small of a sample size. But I just felt like over the last few years they've covered the spread at a high clip at home.
Mm-hmm. I think 7's a lot, man. I understand your reasoning, and I thought I was trying to get there myself. They just haven't looked crisp. Their defense is really good and applies pressure, but call me crazy, I still think their defense hasn't necessarily lived up to what we thought it would be. They haven't looked dominant. Their pass rush is for real. Surtain has looked mortal this year, at least from what I've seen. I haven't really dove into the advanced analytics, but I've seen on several occasions Surtain, not looking his best. I think a lot of it has to do with who they've played. I mean, going to Philly and beating the Eagles, that was a good win. But as we've seen, the Eagles have been struggling. They haven't really looked convincing. I'm not taking that away from them because I still think that was an impressive win. I was on that. I was on the Broncos that game, by the way. The Colts, they lost to the Colts. Turns out that's not a bad loss. That's a game they should have won. The Titans, they don't look great against week one. The Chargers, a game they probably could have won as well. They should have won. But they didn't look great against the Chargers either. Cincinnati with Jake Browning, that was an absolute disaster. I mean, it was the Bengals. It really didn't look that good. And then the Jets travel spot. I don't know if we really have seen the Broncos play a full, complete game, both ends where they looked dominant. That's my thought. And I think despite the fact that they have weapons, the Broncos offense, the Giants defense, I think if they're able to keep Denver under 23 points,
yeah,
I think they're going to cover this. I think the Giants have at least what it takes to get to 17. They get to 17, I think they cover this number. I don't think 17 points is a big ask.
Let me see. I'm trying to think of I can't remember what the Broncos team total was. It had to have been like 26 and a half, right? 24 and a half juice to the under. Wow.
I mean, I'd probably make this Denver 23, Giants 17.
That's what the numbers are saying, 23 to 17 or 24 to 17 or 23 to 16 or 20 or 23 to 16. I think I just repeated myself. Wow.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd look.
Yeah.
A lot of gross games this week.
Yeah.
We have Washington at Dallas. I think it's the highest total. Might be the highest total we got all year, 54.5. Washington, a small favorite at Dallas. Dude, CeeDee Lamb might be back this week. Could be a big one.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're just going to say go the over, 54.5. This game
Easy over.
Easy over, right?
Dome, bad defense on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. I don't really have a strong feel either way of which team wins. I mean, Dallas at home, maybe, because right now I think I trust Dak more than what Jaden Daniels has shown, especially if CeeDee Lamb's back. You got the advantage with the skill group. Washington does have a better defense, but they haven't really looked like the unit from last year. Dallas's slight advantage, in my opinion. I don't love it enough, but honestly, I think I'm probably leaning the over here. Want to dig a little bit deeper. Want to make sure CeeDee Lamb's back because that's going to play a part for me. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of bad games. A lot of bad games.
The Dallas Cowboys.
We got 4 more left here, Brad.
I was going to say one more statement. The Dallas Cowboys have given up the most passing yards this season. A lot of that stems from them losing Micah Parsons, right? Yeah, they've been injured on the back end, but there's no pressure. Simple as that.
Yeah. Green Bay at Arizona, 6.5 Green Bay. I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett. I circled his lines when I circled him before the lines came out, and I was really excited that we hit his rushing and his passing over. Packers, I just don't know what to think of the Packers this year because it's felt like they've sleptwalked. The Packers have gone 3 straight games without covering the spread. In that time, these are the teams that they played. The Cleveland Browns, where they lost outright as a 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys, where they lost, they tied, and they were a 6.5 point favorite. Then the Cincinnati Bengals, where this is a high spread at 15, but they only won the game by 9 when they could have easily scored 35 plus points. I don't know what to make of this team because after the Denver game, no, that was at week 2. So, week 3, they played Detroit and it was after the Commanders game. I thought this was the best team in the NFL, hands down. And I don't know if it's complacency. I don't know what I'm missing. And what's weird is like the stats don't tell me either, right? Like if you look at the advanced metrics, this is a good defensive team. They're good at running the ball. Jordan Love's efficient, and they just not good the entire game. And it's for me, I can't back them at the 6.5. I'd rather pass or play Arizona.
I think a lot of it depends on what's going on with the quarterback situation. Is Murray in or out this week, and it's going to be Brissett. Because listen, Arizona sacked up last week after a brutal showing the week before, against Tennessee. They went into Indy, tough place, and they hung there. They had a chance to win that game. Now, Brissett was the captain of the ship, but now what's going on with Marvin Harrison? He left with a concussion. Is he still out?
Yeah, I think he is. He's still in protocol as of today.
Yeah, so I mean, Brissett played a good game, and I think he could definitely be a captain of the ship. I think Green Bay's inability to put teams away is very reminiscent of what Arizona's been. And I understand 6.5 is a big number. And I think after the first couple of weeks, what Green Bay did maybe gave him a little bit more of overvalue in the market. For sure possible. But why I like Green Bay to cover this number is because they got the guys that can finish this game at the end. My thing is, I feel like this is going to be a close game for the first 3 quarters. And then Green Bay is going to make a few big plays that kind of put this game out of reach in the 4th. So if you're interested in Arizona, who, by the way, is typically not a second-half team, I think Zona plus 3.5 in the first half is interesting. Because I could see this one being a little bit closer, tighter, maybe lower scoring in the first half. And then Green Bay, Jordan Love starts opening it up. Because, listen, let's call it what it is, dude. This Arizona defense, it's not bad, but it's not good. They have their moments where they make some big plays because they got individual playmakers. But then they have these other moments where they look like they've never stepped on a football field before.
Yeah.
So I like Green Bay to pull away in the second half here. And let's be honest. I mean, Indianapolis looked a little sloppy.
Yeah.
I feel like with Brissett starting,
threw him off a little.
At least eye test. It didn't look like Indianapolis came out motivated. It didn't look like they were playing how they had been for the entire season. Looked like they thought they were kind of walk in and just strut on to a win. I think because they didn't look motivated, it made Arizona look a little bit better.
Fair.
I'd even go as far as saying if Brissett plays, it almost gives them a better chance to at least cover this number than Kyler. Not off physical talent standpoint, but just a consistency standpoint.
Yeah.
Because 1 week Kyler could be 300 or 250 yards, 3 passing, 50 yards rushing and a touchdown, or he could be 4 picks. Very inconsistent. But right now, I like Green Bay here, man. I think I'm going to make Green Bay an official play. I think it's good in the teaser. Maybe tease them with Indianapolis. I feel like the Packers are going to start really clicking. When I say clicking, eye test, complete football game. Both sides.
To expand on your point, like the Packers, they have an elite pass rush. It's the second level, right? Where you have guys like who are not carrying their load. Nixon should be better. Whether it's Valentine, whether it's Bullard, right? Like whether they're going to nickel. If they got four blitzing, they're in nickel back there. Like the pass rush is putting pressure, and then the secondary and the back end is letting them down. I think that's easy to fix, right? Like, as long as you're winning in the trenches, it should turn around. Like, I haven't given up hope on them. because
No.
the data says that this is a really freaking good football team.
Yeah. I think you know what it is, man. I think they're missing that big play receiver. Matthew Golden's starting to come on, but he's
Just
not
coming up party last week.
he did, but he's not been reliable to the tune of being an every week contributor in terms of providing a high floor. It's a couple big plays with him. Eventually, he might be that guy that you could slot in every week, and he's going to give you a high floor, and he's got a obviously very high ceiling. Romeo Dobbs, really not that impressive. Wicks, still missing Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. I think the Packers, honestly, are a team that should be a trade candidate at some point in the next month to acquire, or whatever it is, few weeks, whatever the trade deadline is, to acquire a wide receiver. And then that changes the perspective on what their offense is. I think that's really what the oomph is missing with Green Bay. Jordan Love's kind of got to deal with these guys that aren't true wide receiver ones. Like, he doesn't have a legitimate wide receiver one. And I'm not even talking about what we're referencing with JSN turning into a wide receiver one. Just an actual number one pass catcher that's reliable. Like Tucker Kraft might be that guy. And he's good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to say Tucker Kraft's top 5 tight end status. I think that's what's missing.
Yeah, you're probably right. Got the run game, but don't have that consistent chain mover either.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And that's why Green Bay sometimes is hard to get behind. Mentally, it is. But I just feel like Jordan Love, who's played pretty good football this year, I'm taking him over whoever Arizona starts, especially if no Marvin Harrison. I mean, Zay Jones, dude, I was seeing Zay Jones pick up all these first downs last week. I'm like, what year is it? Zay Jones, I didn't even know Zay Jones was still in the NFL. He's out here picking up 3rd and 10s the entire second half. I'm like, what is going on? All right. Falcons, Niners, 1.5, down from 2.5. Kyle Shanahan, revenge game, whichever way you look at it. Do you like San Fran here, or is this another primetime dog spot with Atlanta?
I like Atlanta slightly. I slightly worried about the right side of I'm slightly worried about the right side of the 49ers offensive line, right? Like, obviously, Trent Williams, great left side of the offensive line. There's a 49ers team. I want to talk about this number here. I had their pass protection grades a 62. That's a 62 that's 62 because it averages all of your guys. That's 62 while having the highest graded left tackle. It's weak on the right side. I also need to see who's playing quarterback. Atlanta proved they can get to the quarterback and be good in the second level. I don't think Atlanta needs to throw the ball either to win the game. I think it was different for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers where it got to points where they needed to stretch the field. But I think Atlanta's ability to have fire and ice or Knuckles and Sonic in Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier has proven to be enough. I'm not a full believer in the Falcons. I still think they kind of stink offensively, but their defense is really good.
Yeah, so primetime dog is almost a blind bet for me right now, the way it's rolling. But I got to be honest, there's exceptions to be made, and it's not, I have to still review case by case. I haven't been impressed with the Niners all year. I think I pretty much said that every week, and I think the fact that they have 4 wins right now is a miracle. I think the Rams gave that game away against them, and as we both predicted, we both like Tampa Bay to win and cover, which they did.
Yeah.
The injuries are killing San Francisco right now.
Killing
them. Now, I'll be honest. I don't know if Brock Purdy's that much of an upgrade over Mac Jones right now.
No.
I don't know what's going on if Ricky Pearsall is going to be back this week.
I got something for you, too, after you're done with your take about the Brock Purdy.
He didn't practice this week today. George Kittle's supposed to be back, I think.
Yep. If not, he'll be back for week 8.
The injuries are killing San Francisco. But Christian McCaffrey he's been awesome. He's been a dog. He's been the guy. The thing of it is here. Atlanta does this to you. Trust me. I've been a Falcons fan for over 2 decades. Well, I jumped off the train. I'm higher than from afar, but Atlanta does this to you. They will win that game against Buffalo at home. And then the next week, they'll travel cross country and they'll lose to San Francisco. Granted, San Fran's it's not a slouch program. It's not, say, facing, I don't know, facing somebody like the Miami Dolphins. But if you really watch that game on Monday, Drake London and Bijan were off the hook. Tyler Algier was good. The defense played really well, forced Josh Allen into mistakes. But the Falcons' offense, as you said, they could have lost that game. Michael Penix made a couple bad decisions late in the game. Atlanta did nothing to pull away. Their defense held on tight. And Grant, like, in all fairness, Buffalo, I think we always overrate because of Josh Allen. Yeah. They do not have elite playmakers on the edge. Keon Coleman is a work in progress. Khalil Shakir is basically a journeyman, damn near. Dalton Kincaid wasn't playing. So I'm not of the belief that, hey, Buffalo's this juggernaut offense. Like, no, it's Josh Allen. And listen, kudos to Atlantic. Their defense looked really good. They forced them into mistakes. But Atlanta did not take advantage of the Buffalo defense in the second half the way they did in the first half. I think they won that game. I think they scored 24 points on Monday. Yeah. They scored, I want to say they scored 21 of them in the first half. So I'm not sitting here saying this is Atlanta team is back. This is still the same team, by the way, that lost by 30 at Carolina. So they do this to you. They're referencing to New Orleans early or Chicago. Hey, you look good one week, but can you keep it up the next or you're going to let it down? I think it's a letdown spot. Travel cross country against, honestly, a good nucleus of San Francisco still, and they have their own problems. So I like San Francisco in this spot here to win this game. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. So you say Mac Jones is an upgrade of Brock Purdy, and this is going to tie my point together about their offensive line being really stout from just the Trent Williams perspective and weak on the other. Mac Jones has turned, starting to start the season, to start when he started for Brock Purdy, was one of the highest pressure to sack rates, now to one of the lowest pressure to sack rates. I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to come from an extended absence and get under center and have that I need to get the ball out quick mentality. Mm-hmm. Generally, when you come back from injury, you hold the ball a little extra time, and I don't think their offensive line is affording that. It's weird that I was saying that about Mac Jones, who used to hold the ball forever, but I think Mac Jones is better if the offensive line is going to struggle because he's been getting the ball out really fast. And Brock Purdy, I don't know if he'll be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe San Francisco paid this guy $15 million a year. It's insane. But yeah, look, I don't think there's much of an upgrade or downgrade regardless of who starts. I think it's pretty much the same. I personally am pricing it the same, whether Jones starts or Purdy starts. McCaffrey's been a dog. He's going to be a dog. He's going to get his. McCaffrey versus Bijan is pretty sick RB matchup here. Yeah, I just think San Francisco at home. I mean, look, they're coming off a loss, bounce back spot. Atlanta's got to travel cross country, short week, letdown spot. And it's a team that has not looked sold. A lot of people, I think, are drinking the Atlanta Kool-Aid after last week. I've seen this movie a million friggin' times. And I think Atlanta is making strides towards being that team that they want to be, but it's not there yet. They don't have a legitimate wide receiver, too. There's Michael Penix, I love. I think he's a dog. I think he's going to be great. But he hasn't really taken that next step. The luster's worn off a little bit. He had an awesome first half. Fizzled in the second, almost cost them the game. Like, Atlanta had a chance to put them away, and they didn't. I mean, we really haven't seen that performance. And granted, dude, Bijan is a star, man. Bijan is a dog. He was the guy that me and you both really liked for rushing leader this year. And that's great. But it's going to take some big plays for Atlanta and some disasters from San Francisco for Atlanta to win this game. Possible, but I just think this is a better spot for the 49ers. Regardless of it's Jones or it's Purdy, I think San Francisco should be laying closer to 3. This was 2.5. It's come down. I think this is more like a field goal game. Another week of double dip. The one real good thing the NFL's done, scheduling wise.
You like the double dip?
I do. People compete because listen. Remember years ago, this was weeks 1 and 2, or weeks 1 and 3, or weeks 2 and 3, and then that was it. This is, I think, our 4th double dip of the year, and we're getting it in week 6, week 7. I don't know if there's any more. I hope there is. I haven't looked at the schedule, but schedule indicates we have a banger double dip. One thing that's a little bit of a buzzkill, I believe the Seattle game starts at 10. I don't know about you, but I got a bedtime.
Dude, late, bro. Late, man.
Brad, real quick, what does that line say?
That's 5.5, bro.
What is 5.5?
That's your Royal Mint.
Royal Mint. Alarm bells going off. A potential NFC championship showdown. Tampa, Baker, Goff, Lions. This is awesome. Tampa Bay battling a lot of injuries, and Emeka Egbuka looks like he's going to be out.
Yeah.
Mike Evans I don't know if he's going to be back this week.
Hey, he's questionable. He might come back.
I don't know what's going on with the Tampa injuries. That's obviously a concern, but I got to be honest, man. I think this is a Tampa Bay spot. I think this is not just a Royal Mint spot. It's a Tampa spot. Wouldn't be surprised if they went outright. Regardless of what this, like the Royal Mint really confirms it for me, so I hope it stays 5.5. But I'm taking Tampa on the spread regardless. I think the thought process for a lot of people, and again, I don't handicap, I don't use for my handicap what other people are thinking or not thinking. But my thought is the Lions off a loss, bounce back spot at home, prime time. They're the more healthy team overall against a team that, didn't look super convincing against San Francisco, despite what the final score says. So Lions are going to win big. And listen, maybe they do. Brad, I think this is a Tampa spot. I think there's still doubts about this Bucs team. And truth be told, Baker Mayfield right now is one of the biggest X factors in the NFL. He's a difference maker. He's rolling out there with no names and 5th-round draft picks and getting it done. I think Tampa's going to cover this number. I think they have a very solid chance to win outright.
Yeah, it's fair. I think so too. I think the biggest benefactor, or biggest situation to monitor is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing a team that is heading into a bye. Naturally, you would say a team's going to head into their bye, and they're probably going to want to go into the bye week with a ton of momentum. But a team like the Detroit Lions, who are banged up as the Bucs are going to want to get into the bye to get guys back. And why I'm saying this, and I'm going to tie it together here for you, is when you think about the decision, if you have guys who are on the fence of playing, let's give Terrion Arnold as an example. If he's on the offense of playing and he's closer to 40% than he is to 60%, with the bye coming up, coaches are more likely to sit that player. And if you listen to everything that Campbell has been saying about the players that are out, that are not going to play, that are close, we'll see him after the bye. We'll see him after the bye because you want to get into the bye week and use that as your healthy period. Yeah. You don't want a guy to get hurt right before your bye week who's only 40%, and then you lose them for 4 games after the bye week, right? I think that helps the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It also helps that Brian Branch, is he going to play? Is he suspended? Maybe.
No, he's suspended.
Right? He's suspended already? They dropped it already? Was it 2 games?
It looks like, let me read.
I know he was appealing. I don't know how many games it was, though.
It has been NFL announced Monday that Branch has been suspended for 1 game following his altercation after Sunday night's loss to the Chiefs, which rules him out for Week 7 against Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And he said,
"Isn't that crazy? Like the game was over, and he found a way to got himself suspended."
Yeah, dude. So now they lose 2 safeties. They lose 2 corners, 2 safeties. If the pass rush is not there, I know it's a weak wide receiver core for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Baker's playing like a dog. He will pass that rock. He will try to do everything in his power to keep his team competitive. And then one more thing I want to add to this. Just remember, this line was 3.5 at the open, ballooned to 4.5, now up to 5.5.
Tampa spot.
Cover, man. I think Tampa.
Primetime dog, baby. Primetime dog.
But Detroit's gonna be rocking, though, man. Detroit's gonna be rocking.
I think you have a quarterback with Tampa and Baker Mayfield that can handle this kind of environment. He's like the modern day Kenny Powers. I think Tampa's going to cover this, regardless of what the number is. I'm picking Tampa, another primetime dog spot. I think they have a pretty solid chance to win outright. I do. I think right now the way the Bucs are playing, regardless of, I mean, obviously, listen, you lose Ibuka, who's been one of the best receivers in the NFL through 6 weeks. It's tough, but Baker's just been on another planet right now. In my opinion, there's not a quarterback that's playing better than Baker Mayfield. I think if the QB power rankings for 2025 through 6 weeks, I personally, on my power rankings, I'm not putting a quarterback over Baker Mayfield. I think he is the number one quarterback in the NFL this season.
That's my MVP.
It's our MVP, motherfucker.
Our MVP, baby.
All right. Nightcap, Houston at Seattle. There, interestingly enough, was a 3 juice latte in this game. There still is on DraftKings. Seattle hosting the Texans, one of the biggest home field advantages. Seattle off a big win. Houston off the bye. Interesting theory I have. Again, okay, primetime dog. I keep saying this, but I mean it. Go back and look at every single primetime game this year alone. You're going to notice that the dog is at least covering in over 60% of them. They've got to be winning, and they got to be winning outright in over 40%. Which, when you're these big dogs, you're getting these plus monies. The units translate. Regardless, I'm cool laying 3 with Seattle, but the moment it universally flips to 3.5, then I'm taking Houston. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. I'm not sold on Houston. Their defense is still legit. Their defense is the reason why they can remain in this game. But I do not buy the offense. I'm not sold on anybody on this offense after Nico Collins. CJ Stroud had a great game against Baltimore before the bye, who's been a turnstile. They've been awful. It doesn't do anything for me for the football power index. Nico Collins is still Nico Collins. He's a dog. Woody Marks, I think, needs to get more burn. I think it's outrageous what they're doing to him, by the way. But it's got to be the defense that keeps it together. Now, Seattle hasn't, in my opinion, played a complete football game this year. I struggle with one week they look really good, and the next week they have a letdown. Their defense has not been good to the point where I had them in the preseason, Brad, because remember, I was higher on Seattle than most of the market. I did not believe that they should have had the worst odds to win the NFC West. I did not believe they should have had, honestly, been held in low regard the way they were. Their defense, in my opinion, will turn it around. Mike McDonald will have that defense humming soon. I know Seattle is dealing with some injuries, and that's, of course, an issue. But I think Seattle's going to win a low-scoring, close game here. I think I'm laying 3 with them, but 3.5 I'd lay with Houston. But I do like Seattle on a money line parlay. JSN, keep rolling, baby. Keep doing it one time and one time only.
Give me Seattle in the lead, right? If Seattle gets in the lead in this game, they're dangerous. CJ Stroud, 29th in the NFL in EPA per pass when trailing. 29th.
Yeah.
And you just think about it. Why? Because essentially their wide receiver core is one man and one man only. It's really hard to spread around. It's really easy for defenses to scheme away from that, from Nico Collins. This is a game where I'm not like shaking in my boots for Seattle because they're banged up in the second level, right? Why am I not shaking my boots? Because like, I don't really think that this receiver core for the Texans has enough to scare Seattle. Playing the 12th man prime time. I wanted the 3, but I like -3.5 still. I just don't want to sit here and say that the Texans are just a bad team, though. Defensively, really good, getting pressure on the quarterback. But this just screams Seattle win by like 6 to 8 points.
They could. I still think, just the way it's gone here. Houston off a bye.
I've been,
look, off the bye week is that's big for a lot of teams. A lot of teams.
I like off the bye at home.
Yeah, but I don't know. Listen, I agree. I think Seattle's going to win this. But like I said, I think 3.5 is where I'm going to probably lean Houston. I like Seattle. Honestly, I'd like the Seattle money line in a parlay. And
yeah, fair.
I'm
Dude, I haven't been taking mini spreads this year, and I don't know if I'm willing to take a prime time 3.5. Like, I don't know if that's where I'm just like, yo, I'm ready to dive in a spread on a prime time 3.5. I'm trying to see what the money market's doing in this game real quick.
Bro, week to week betting NFL spreads is incredibly difficult week to week.
It's
incredibly difficult. So I understand why you don't want to bet spreads. I mean, if you want to sack up and lay it up with Seattle, nuts on the table.
Like money, like looks like you're going the right direction. It looks like money's coming back on Houston. It came on Seattle, but as of 8, well, that's 9. As of 9, more money's coming in on the Texans. The number should be 3 with a little bit of push towards 2.5. So it looks like probably by later tonight, if not in the morning, we should be seeing 3s or juiced 2.5s.
And also let's remember something. The total could play a factor in this one. This is projected to be a lower scoring game, 40.5. Now, granted, you can obviously win by 7 points in a game that's projected 40-point total and stay under.
Yeah.
Obviously. But, I mean, think about it this way. Say this is a, I don't know, 21-17 game or, 21-17 game. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like something like that where it's right around the spread, but it stays close to the under. It doesn't take that many points to get there. I think it's going to be tighter because the thing is, listen, Seattle has not played the complete football game. They still have issues to work out on both sides of the ball. JSN's made up for a lot of shortcomings. AJ Barner's emergence is pretty impressive. Cooper Kupp's starting to come back to life. Zach Charbonnet's has been a disappointment. Kenny Walker's
weird because
some weeks really good, some weeks he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, when I was doing an analysis of running backs, I remember, let me see if I could, I'll have to do minimum rushes. I think I did minimum rushes of 50. I think he was like rated really freaking high, like of running backs with 50 and 50 plus rushes. And like, I think it was 100 rushes. I think you have to take it, or 75. He ranked pretty high, but what's weird is like, he's not getting like number 1 running back carries. And then you look at Charbonnet, I think he ranks like very low. Like Charbonnet, EPA per rush is 34th of all qualified running backs. Like it just doesn't make sense to me what they're doing. I know what they're trying to do, but statistically, it's not good. And that's where I take away like touchdowns and total yards. And I'm just looking at the advanced analytics, success rate, EPA, and Ken Walker is the better running back, but they're jamming in Charbonnet when it's not working.
But also the interesting thing.
Not saying Ken is amazing though.
I've kept an eye on it though. Walker's been hit or miss. First week, 10 carries, 20 yards. Next week, 13 for 105. Following week, 16 for 38 against New Orleans. Like he had a couple touchdowns, but it's 2.4 yards per carry. The following week at Arizona, 19 for 81. That's solid. That's more than solid. The following week against Tampa, 10 for 86. That's big. And then last week, 10 for 34. I mean, granted, look, I think Seattle's trying to view this more as a 1A, 1B situation, especially with Kenny Walker in a contract year. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but a guy like Kenny Walker, I do feel like is more of a 15-plus carry a game guy. I think it's hard to be a successful RB1 in the NFL when you're getting under 15 carries a week. But still in the sample size, Kenny Walker's had a couple of those really nice games, and he's had some that aren't. And I understand it. It's hard as an RB1 when you're constantly in and out to be successful with just 10 carries.
Yes.
It's easy to be in there in the box score and say, well, he only had 3.4 yards a carry. I get it. I think definitely Kenny Walker's looked more explosive. Charbonnet, I don't know what's going on there, has not looked like it. But Seattle's got the pieces. It's not a fantastic offense, but it's good enough. It's good enough to put up 30 with Darnold, the way he's played. And it's definitely good enough for the way JSN's been just skyrocketing, like Bitcoin.
I want to add
Bitcoin.
I want to add one more thing about Charbonnet. And like when Seattle put Charbonnet in there, teams know what they're doing. Charbonnet's not in the game for them to drop back and pass the ball. He's facing the highest number of stacked boxes in the NFL. And he has one of the lowest explosive play percentages because of it. So you also have a guy who's not breaking tackles and playing stacked boxes. And of course, that number's skewed when it's freaking first and goal from the 2-yard line and you have Charbonnet in. So yes, I do get that, but it's just like, I don't think experiment that's working. It's tough. Like if you look at Detroit, what they do with Jameer and Montgomery, they do a good job of when it's one guy's turn, it's their turn. Let them get
like what the Lions do.
Reps. Yeah. With the Lions, what did I say? Yeah, what the Lions do. Yeah, what the Lions do. They're good at letting that guy get hot. Bring it to college football. Justice Haynes played for Alabama. He was number one running back coming out of high school. Played for Alabama, couldn't get it going. Right, would only get 6 to 10 carries a game. Now, and he looked like he sucked. Transfers to Michigan. Michigan giving him his 20 plus carries, having those 150, 160 yard games, breaking those 50 yards. That's what Ken Walker needs is volume.
Yeah, that's the volume is important.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, I like Seattle this year. I think they're going to hit that gear where they start every week looking like a really good football team, eliminating a lot of the dumb penalties, the mental mistakes, the turnovers. I think Seattle is a dark horse in the NFC this year. I'm not saying they're going to win the NFC by any means, but that's a kind of team that they're going to hit their gear at some point towards the end of the season. So if they make the playoffs, that could be a team that, say, travels to Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Now, probably think Detroit wins that game, but that's not necessarily a team I want to see if I'm Detroit.
Dude, if I'm Detroit, I'm pulling a Shannon Sharp right here with my neck bones, collard greens, fried chicken, mac and cheese. Sam Darnold in the playoffs is until he proves it.
Yeah,
I'm licking my chops.
For sure. That's also the other thing. But at least in the regular season, they are looking good. Like I'll put it to you this way: rank these teams in the NFC right now through 6 games in order of best to worst. Green Bay, Detroit, Philly, Rams, Tampa, Niners, Seahawks, Commanders, Falcons, Vikings, Bears. It's probably a lot I threw at you.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna go.
Actually, let's do it like this. Would you take Seattle over Green Bay?
No.
Would you take them over the Lions?
No.
Eagles?
Yes.
Rams?
Yes.
Tampa?
Yes.
You slut. You would take the Seahawks over the Bucks?
In their current form with current injuries, yes.
No, I'm not talking about current injuries.
Oh, you're talking about at the end of the season, assuming these teams are healthy.
I'm talking about what they've looked like through 6 weeks, but assume that I'm sorry, I didn't clarify. Assuming that Tampa's healthy, they got their guys.
Oh, Tampa. Yes, Tampa.
Okay. San Francisco.
No. I don't think San Francisco's going to get much healthier. That's their problem.
So you'd take Seattle over San Francisco?
Yes.
Would you take Seattle over Washington?
Yes.
Seattle over Atlanta?
Yeah, heartbeat.
Seattle over Minnie?
Yeah.
Seattle over Chicago?
Yes.
Okay, so the only teams that you would take right now over Seattle in the NFC are Green Bay, Detroit,
and Tampa.
And Tampa?
Yeah.
So my point is, you could say Seattle right now is a top 5, maybe a top 4 team in the NFC.
Yes.
The argument can be made at the bare minimum. I digress. But Brad, this was another great show. Absolutely awesome. We're back Sunday morning to do our usual kickoff. That will be my last show at my current age. Birthday is next Wednesday. If you feel like dropping a comment ahead of time, it would be very much appreciated. And of course, you can access all my picks on the Discord. Getting a lot of them here anyway, but we'll be covering more player props, maybe some additional teasers, maybe the parleesies that we cook up this week. We're gonna cook up a winner.
Let's have some fun parlays, bro.
We got some good shit. But Brad, you are a scholar, a gentleman, and a scholar. I do appreciate your time. Everybody appreciates your time. It was an absolute blast. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll see you on Sunday.